Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Well, welcome back. It's the 5th of July, and hopefully you're not partaking of anything in the 5th and have had a wonderful day. And we appreciate you waking up this early and coming to see us. Because, I know many times a day after the holiday, you don't feel like doing anything, let alone if you have to go back to the travails of normalcy, let alone put on the TV or put on the internet and watch somebody else. But we're hoping to, as you know, our show is always the Bob B. Variety Hour segment of the Talk What You Know series. So we try to mix it up. We try to give it always lighthearted because so much heavy-duty talk in this station with regard to the crimes and everything else that are going on in our city. So I let those other hosts handle that, and we always try and do something not always uplifting, but try to be, and also somewhat educational. As you know, we're putting a little bit more informational sections of our show, where we're dedicating. Last week, we had a wonderful gentleman, Lamar Gardere of the Data Center, when we inaugurated our new monthly segment called Know Your Nonprofit. And we've already scheduled, I believe, 3 more of those each month at the 4th Wednesday of the month. So stay tuned, and you'll get to see what some of these organizations are doing for our community and for you, and if not, how you can avail yourself of them. So it is very, very interesting, I find, and also very helpful. At the same time, we have, as you know, the second Wednesday of each month, our new feature is Talk to the Tarot. And we introduced that this month on kind of a mixed basis because we had some technological problems. Again, the young lady who's our psychic tarot card reader comes all the way from San Francisco or San Diego, depending on where she's located in California, and she Skypes in. And because it was our first broadcast, as usual, technology always gives you some kind of challenges. But we did extremely well looking at the post statistics. She was very pleased and will continue. So if you're interested in that, we'll give you details near the end of the show how you can be ready for the upcoming, because it really is, I think that's next Wednesday. So if you want to participate and have your tarot card read, we'll tell you what to do. And, of course, you have to call in live to speak to her and see her, and she will give you a reading free of charge, whereas all the other times if you're going to have to go, a regular client is paying a nice little fee for that. All right, so anyway, it was very well received, and we're hoping that we get it a regular feature. You'll know when to look for Talk to the Tarot. We're also, today we have a young lady in who's a literary author, and we're looking to do some type of literary segment because I do know a lot of folks who are authors and authoresses, I guess that's a term. However, I know I'm always concerned about stepping on toes of some of our other co-hosts, and I understand we have, and I haven't met her yet, a lovely young lady who does a literary show. I'm not sure the title or the name, but I think it's on Thursday. So we don't want to, like I say, feel that we're diminishing her show in any regard. So we have not decided on yet whether making this a permanent feature. But this young lady and I met at an event. We'll talk about that if necessary later. And I was smitten with her with regard to her, not only her beauty, but also her talent and charms and her personality. She'll win anyone over. Watch it out there. I don't want any calls of a wrong side here today. But don't forget, before we introduce her, whether you're watching us on laptop, PC, or smartphone, or via NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com on the app. You can also see us on YouTube or Facebook, I think Instagram as well. And you can hear us through the Bluetooth speakers in your car. Or my favorite is to take it off of one of these and Chromecast it on that big, big TV you have mounted at home where you can see our glorious visages. Okay, enough about that. Well, again, we're so glad you came back. Today, the topic, and again, we're going to broaden that because of the versatility of our honored guest. But we wanted to start off with something, so I took a cliche from the famous Isley Brothers. Maybe you're all too young to remember them, but there's a song, "So You Make Me Wanna but we put in blog instead of their term. And we're going to speak a little bit about blogging because this young lady has experience in such under her belt, as well as numerous other areas that she does. So we want to introduce you, without further ado, to Miss Erynne Elkins. Erynne, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Bob. I'm happy to be here.
For knowing me so little, I was so pleased that you accepted our invitation, because so many of our other folks have known me for a while, so they're used to my demeanor. Let's put it that way. But we met, as we mentioned, at we both enjoyed the New Orleans Film Festival. I've been a member for 20-some odd years, and I helped them screen their movies during the year for their festival. But they also have ongoing shows and films, and we met at one of those fairly recently, I think, a couple of months ago.
Exactly, yeah.
Got to chit-chatting, and I heard about her work, her passion would be at a level, and read her blog and some of her little excerpts in there and was fascinated. So I asked her one day whether she'd be interested, and she was kind enough to say yes. I didn't have to twist any fingers and use any kind of pressure that I didn't have. So why don't we tell the folks a little bit? I always like to know, of course, we'd like to know whether you're our native, because, we do give extra credit for being a native. But tell us a little bit about your background before we start the specifics.
Absolutely, Bob. I am originally from Chicago. I recently celebrated my 2-year Nolaversary last month.
Like the term.
Yes. I love this beautiful city of New Orleans. Lots of culture, great food. There's always something to do. It was back in 2012 when I was actually living in Los Angeles. I was working for a company that did trade shows all over the U.S. and Canada. And in September, I believe it was, of 2012, we were doing the AARP show.
Oh, the old folks like me.
Here in New Orleans, the seasoned individuals. And I'm not saying anything you haven't heard before. 3 days in, fell in love with the city. I was born in Houston, Texas, so I'm used to heat and humidity. But what really got my attention was just the laid-back atmosphere. And New Orleans really is a welcoming pot, if you will, of individuals of all ages, ethnicities, every sort of background. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, one day I'd really like to have a house here and live here. And then fast forward to 2015, wow. And I've been,
comfortably ensconced.
I am a happy camper. Yeah.
Well, we're so pleased you settled as so many of them have Katrina, because post-Katrina, we wondered whether our population would come back, and we still have never gotten most of them, even though our slow increase, in fact, many of those new settlers, people who weren't here before Katrina. So we still have a large population base that still wants to call New Orleans home. That's how ingrained the roots are.
Yes.
That no matter where they are in our nation or beyond, they still follow our saints if they're football players or some aspect. Our music, our culture, it's just ingrained. So, and that's great because they become ambassadors for the other cities.
Yes.
Now, of course, some of the other cities get jealous and upset because, why are you bragging about them? You don't live there, da-da-da-da. But at the same time, they are emissaries for us. And that's why we have become such a destination city. And those destinations seem to be many times becoming permanent residences, not just for a holiday. And I tell the story of this lady I met years ago. She came from, might have been Chicago and New York for her first Jazz Fest. She was fortunately well backed financially. She didn't have to. She had never worked in her life. She was inherited a lot of stock, so she just played, lived off that. And she called a broker or someone in Chicago and just said, "Please sell everyone, ship all the stuff here because I'm living here." She never went back.
I also want to add to Bob,
Sure.
and again, this is something I'm sure many people have heard and probably believe. New Orleans is, you talk about ambassadors. New Orleans is a great ambassador city for resilience. What it means to experience a hardship, experience when something doesn't go as planned.
Exactly.
And New Orleans is, really phenomenal in terms of, the people here banding together, having each other's back,
Right.
and then rising up. And so, yes, there are the festivals, there's the food, there's, all of those things that make New Orleans, typically New Orleans. But I think on an unspoken level, there's a personality, there's a set of values that if you have those same things, you're naturally drawn to this city. So when you step foot onto the soil, you're just like, oh, wow, I'm home, or I could be here for a while. So
that level of comfortability is amazing
Yes.
and the way it affects transplants because they just, for some reason, just automatically, and they want to be residents, they want to be natives, and they, of course, the old line New Orleanians still, if you're not born here, you're not a native. You'll be 102 years, you're still not a native. But at the same time, it becomes part of their DNA as well.
Yes,
and that's what it is. And even though, as you mentioned, festivals and all that stuff, most of those things we had, there's no doubt about before Katrina. But since Katrina, they're magnified. I mean, we had some festivals that have been going on for years, and they may be well attended, and a lot of them only attended by locals. Right. Now, every one of those have grown from perhaps minuscule status to gargantuan status, where they're international. People are coming from all around the world here, which is, an amazing for such a small population. If you look at it, we're only 400,000 people max, which is, small by big cities standards, to draw that type of swell to 1 million on an occasion, whether it's Mardi Gras, whether it's Jazz Fest, Essence Fest.
Exactly.
It is really startling, and it's an attribute to not only the exposing of our culture, but the warm hospitality that you receive here, because you can be waiting for a streetcar here, be a novice, someone's going to stop and ask you if you want to ride, or they tell you where to, give you directions. You go to some of these other cities. I went to New York, my first experience. I could not, walking down on about 15, 20 blocks down the main street, and I was shocked because it was August and it was hot as blazes, just like New Orleans, high humidity and dirty city. And I said, gee, why did I come here? Because as I walked down there were thousands more people than I would walk on Canal Street, but not one made eye contact. How they don't stumble over their feet, I don't know. But no one, and if you stand there and you look like you're lost, no one from the city is going to stop and say, can I help you? Nothing. Whereas our city, we'll take you to dinner. We'll bring you into our home. We'll get you. That's what's so amazing. And of course, they call it the Southern hospitality. But we're, again, I know we're going way above where we're not supposed to be, but we're really a hybrid of a European city in the south of the United States.
And I also want to add one quick
more, and then we're
thing.
going to move forward.
I can name at least 2 instances. One of them, I was at the bus stop waiting for bus.
Okay.
Nice gentleman, polite gentleman. We started chatting. Within 15 minutes, his mom was coming back from church. He introduces me, true story, introduces me to his mother, sweet lady. And I just remember him saying, Miss Erynne, like if you're ever in the neighborhood, if you ever need anything, this is my mom. You can go right up, knock on her door. If she's cooked some food, she'll fix you a plate. I mean, that's New
the
Orleans.
personal testimony of exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
That is demonstrative of New Orleans.
Yes.
And there's no fakery, there's no artificiality.
Yes.
It's automatically, I'm a good person, you're a good person, why don't we connect? And that's how it is. Okay. Anything else let's talk about your personal experience, not experience, but in the city that you want to talk about, not necessarily the attributes of our culture, our city. Anything else about that before? You're getting adjusted to it, it sounds like right away.
So, as I said before, I've been in New Orleans 2 years so far. I love it. It's a city where, again, there's never a lack of anything to do, and it's a city that also gives you time and room to
expand.
To find your groove, to find what makes you tick, to find your tribe, if you will, whether that be personally, professionally, spiritually. There's not a whole lot that this city is lacking. So I'm having a really great time. And another thing that's really great about this city is because there's so much to do, if ever there's an instance where I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to stay in, I don't feel like I'm missing out on the party because there's a party every single day. day.
That's
so
it.
yeah, I'm
No
good.
one can. There's multiple in the same
Exactly,
day now.
yeah.
That's what's so amazing. So there's always something close to you that you can find. So you don't have to. Where so many cities, they always say, "Oh, those poor people," they just stay in and watch TV and something. Which, again, nothing against TV, but why not go if there's opportunities to learn something, to experience something, rather than experience it firsthand instead of through the eyes or ears of someone else on a tube. All right, enough about that. When we come back, we got to do our first break, and we're going to do our abbreviated raffle. We'll tell you why after that, and then we're going to actually start talking about her writing background, telling us a little bit about more of her experiences, and then about blogging particular, and actually hear some of her work. So stay tuned. Remember, we'll give more details. Pay attention to the commercial if you can, and we'll see you on the other side and finish the raffle. See you in a minute.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Here at Jones Insurance, your full-service agency, let us take care of all your insurance needs. We provide homeowners insurance, flood, rental, commercial, auto, and life insurance. Don't let the unexpected tragedy destroy your family's future. Here at Jones Insurance, 7603 West Bank Expressway, Monroe, Louisiana, 772. Contact Lois at 504-348-1492.
There's soul food, and then there's food for the soul. At a time where we live to eat, the Praline Connection restaurant serves up recipes that reach back into days long gone. You know, the kind of meals your mama cooked up for Sunday dinner. Fried chicken with macaroni and cheese and candied yams, homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and string beans, or Nolan's filet gumbo. That's the real soul you get only at the Praline Connection restaurant, located at the Kona, Charters and Frenchman Street in the Marinade.
Nobody gives you better conversation about the quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
And if you've watched this show before, not to be contrary to that lovely young lady's voice, but we want you to watch, not just listen. We want you to watch the New Orleans Talk Network, and we've told you all the ways to do it. So please join with all of our new program. Any of our live programmers, you have that privilege of watching, not just listening. So that's enjoyable. Okay, this is our time for our raffle segment. Today is because we wanted to keep it short because of having a guest as well. And we don't want to cut into their time. That's always appreciative. We do it abbreviated. First of all, it's the Bargain Basement clearance. For the first time, we have two articles that have not been claimed 3 weeks in a row. So one you're seeing on the network there. Well, you're seeing both of them. I have them here too, but you can always see them better, I think, on the TV screen. So the first is a frame print. As I mentioned, it's a matted. Even if you don't want the print, take out the frame alone. It's 15 by 15. It's solid oak, natural thing. You could put a picture of Mom and them or whatever, and it's a beautiful frame if you don't like the subject matter. The other thing, even though, no, it's not today's fabulous headphones that connect to your laptop. It's a throwback. It's a AM/FM stereo phone with boom bass busting, or whatever they call it, for you to listen to when you're running or walking to the radio. Okay, not that we're pushing that, but at the same time, it's kind of a retro deal. So here's the deal. Since no one's claimed it during our normal raffle and we want to move on with our prizes starting next week, if you call in today at our number at 504-341-8255, 341-TALK, you have one of two ways of winning. Either one of these are your choice. If you come on air, you're guaranteed one of these choices, okay? Whichever one you want. All you have to do is leave your first name and your phone number so we can get details after the show. If you don't come on air and you just want to speak to Mike, if you give him your name and number, we will go through the list first call first and work down that list and see what you want in case we don't get any live callers that want to call right into the station. So remember, if you definitely want a prize, call and just say hello to us. I mean, if you don't have a particular question, if you got a question about anything here at the station, we'll be glad to answer, okay? So if you want definitely one of these prizes, make that call, as they say. Make that call. If not, make the call to Mike, give him your name and your phone number, and we'll be calling back after that. And first come, first earned, however. Okay, enough about that. We wanted to get that over with. And again, one last thing, of course, I always got to tell you to keep registering. You only have to register once, but you got to be in the pot too. You got to pay to play. So you got to have your name, and you can do that online at our VIP block on the website.Ut your name, your full name, your email address, and your zip code. Or you can do it to my email address. I know Mike's going to have it up there somewhere, bob@rrevue.com. There you go. Look how pretty that is. So if you write that down, if you can remember that real quick, you can send to me that information. Again, full name, zip code, and email address, and we will put you in the registration for all the future raffles. We're not like those other stations. You got to re-register every week or every phone call. Okay, taking longer than I wanted. Let's go back. We're pleased again to talk with Erynne Elkins, our guest today. She's an author. I don't know its proper terminology. She's I don't think she does poetry, though. Did you do poetry?
I dabble.
Dabble.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not special. But a writer and also a blogger. So we're going to touch base. In fact, I want to let her lead us in that flow, starting with some of her more, because to me, no disrespect to you bloggers out there, but it's like the bottom ring of the totem pole of those three. That an author or playwright, to me, close to not God, but certainly way up there on the totem pole. A general writer is very good, and a bloggist is very, very similar to what I call a general writer. It's just more of a continued, regimented program. All right, let's go ahead and tell us about some of your skills and what you've done.
So I respectfully disagree with Bob here. As far as bloggers, blogging in general, I really don't identify it as having a rank. As Bob and I have discussed before, I am definitely pro artist. So anyone out there, including myself, who blogs, who writes poetry, who writes plays, who writes magazine articles, who writes feature film screenplays, who writes jokes. My point is, if you identify yourself as a writer, if it's something that brings you joy and a sense of purpose, it's right up there with everything else that you deem important. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Why do we have to have these niches, and why is it so important that a blogger be known as a blogger?
Well, the nice thing about blogging, as you and I have talked about before, is there's an opportunity to have a platform where you can talk about something that's very personal or passionate for you, that kind of niche. Mm-hmm. And with so many bloggers out there, I mean, I'm fully aware that you've done your due diligence and doing the research with the numbers.
Got some stats, yeah.
Blogging definitely has become a lot more mainstream. But what I'm excited about is there's now a platform where a literary artist doesn't necessarily have to wait for the green light or, go for it from another person. Here's an opportunity via so many of these fantastic platforms to take your literary art, out into the world.
Okay. Well, we're going to still put a little time on blogging, but let's do, first of all, what, besides blogging, are your other your other talents, and tell us a little details about those that you've actually done some stuff for.
Absolutely. Ever since childhood, I've always loved to write. And in my early adult life, I continued writing, and probably within the last 10 years, that's when I was able to do it professionally. I am a published author. I have written articles for magazines. I have 2 feature film screenplays under my belt. The first one, Karma, placed as a finalist in the Beverly Hills Screenplay Competition.
Oh, wow.
It was really, that was an opportunity to cut my teeth, so to speak, with screenwriting. But I loved it because, during that time I was exploring different areas of spirituality, reincarnation, how the people that we encounter in our lives are no accident. And so that was a great opportunity to really explore those ideas. My second screenplay, Elvis Takes the Bus 2, which I am very pleased with, I always tell people I liken it to it's Juno meets Clerk with a female African-American protagonist. So as an African-American female writer, it's definitely important for me to make sure that our voices are heard and that we are, we are seen in various areas. And then to segue into blogging, digitalhippie70.com, which is my website, it's actually my second website. I had a first one that was on there for about a little bit. And again, I was just kind of trying to find my way, web-wise. So digitalhippie70.com came about because that's actually my handle, if you will, on Twitter. And so over the years, I'd had various individuals be like, oh, you should blog, or, oh, when are you going to start your blog? And, you all have heard this, after a while when someone, says kind of the same thing to you over and over again, you can either completely ignore it or you can be like, wait a second, they may be on to something.
Maybe they got something, yeah, right.
So like you, I had, I'd been aware of the blogging atmosphere, and I just thought, well, what do I have to say? And then when I looked at my Twitter handle, digitalhippie70, I really dissected it, if you will. It's just okay, digital, we're living, in, online platforms are everywhere. I identify myself as a hippie just because, I enjoy meeting all sorts of types of people, festivals, yoga, meditation, all this other stuff. And then 70, that's an indicator of the time that I came to be. So in looking at all those things, it helped me get more clear into, well, what is it that I want to say? And as I shared with Bob earlier, the thing with blogging, and I think it helps when you're very aware of it going in, and I'll speak for a lot of bloggers, it's not so much we're trying to recreate the wheel, but it's more of here's a platform where we can share our specific experiences. So that's what I've been doing since last year and having a really great time with it. Yes, there are times where I will, hop online and I'll see, other blog posts with similar themes. But one thing that I shared with Bob off camera is the nice thing about whether you're blogging, whether you're a poet, whether you're a playwright, there's only one of you. So yes, we can all have similar experiences, but at the end of the day, any particular experience that I have as Erynne Elkins is going to be my experience. So that's what's so great about doing a blog, which some people might identify as an online journal, an online diary. It's an opportunity to share something very specific with millions. And if it resonates with them, if it's a point of inspiration, fabulous.
Great. Well, as I shared with Erynne, before we came in, I just did a quick research, just to, I mean, because, like I say, my knowledge has been really on the periphery. I saw it as this is a place for, unfortunately, people with either terminal illnesses or raising a baby, or something like that, where this communality, very small, but it evolved out of that, and I attribute it to be the again, I'm being stereotypical, but the females' proclivity to doing journals or diaries back in my time, whereas a male, for some reason, never takes, many times can't even write a sentence, let alone articulate a sentence. Think about doing that on a regular basis. What did I do today? As opposed to just checking off a to-do list, something like that, where it'd be much more male-specific. So that's what I thought, and that's what I thought it evolved from that kind of thing, and still was predominantly that. I found out statistically wise that there's 140 million people using Facebook for blogging, and no, not in general, excuse me, and 106 million for blogs, whether they just contributed something to a blog or whether they actually already. So that blew my mind. That's a lot of folk. And this is just the U.S. I didn't even go beyond the U.S. Now, the other question, again, where I was using my old school tendencies, thinking that it's got to be predominantly female specific, that is gender specific to female. There can't be too many. Well, there's a lot of controversy on these statistics, and I never really get, some of them saying, well, women were like 8-to-1 ratio of bloggers to men. Never really could get concrete statistics on how prevalent the male is in any form of blogging, not just sports or something like that. It would be their natural proclivity. But anyway, it was very, very interesting to see how widespread it is, because I had no idea of that. Before we go to break, we're ready for those darn breaks. Before we go to second break, I do want to ask you, not on the blogging, your playwright. And right away nowadays, of course, the whole emphasis is on shifting the gears to finally exposing females in the motion picture television industry to, first of all, to actually not only star in them, which of course has always been a goal of most young ladies, but now to actually produce and direct these movies and to be able to direct things that they feel is much more significant than the ordinary male orientation movie. So my concern here is your two plays that you've written. Screenplays. Have you approached any female directors or producers about this? How does one get those out into without having an aid? I guess you have to have an agent or something like that. But I would say with the movement to be so feminine strong now, I would want to revisit, even though I don't know how long ago you wrote these, but maybe one or two would be very important to actually produce. I'd love to see it staged. I love plays much more than TV. And if you don't want to answer that, I understand. But
no, that's a great question. Thank you. First and foremost, as a writer who has completed 2 feature film screenplays, the first goal was simply to complete them. And with both of them, I did the screenplay competition circuit. And with the second one, Elvis Takes the Bus Too, I am actually, looking at talking with possible producers and directors. But as with, not only with writing, but as with pretty much anything, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this, there is, and anyone here in New Orleans listening, you can appreciate this, there is a specific magic to right timing. So, I definitely enjoy writing. I do consider myself to be a pretty decent writer. Also in that pot is not only magic timing, but right timing. So things are, in motion as far as like getting this script into the right hands. But it's also about right timing as well.
I got it. Yeah. Well, I hope so, because I would, like I say,
I do too.
I just think, it's going to be, I think, a really rosy future that we're finally giving those opportunities, not just in the acting mode, but behind the scenes as well, because that's where the creativity begins. The actor or actress just brings out what the writer has, or the author or the playwright has done. So you could have some fabulous actor that might not connect with the character at all, and you could have a real flop on your hands, or certainly not something interesting. Okay, great. It's time for break. We'll come back And we're going to let her read a little piece for us because she brought some stuff with us, at least on her phone, and let you hear it firsthand. So let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes, okay?
Member of Bedside Baptist? Well, now you can join Bethesda House of Prayer every Sunday for our live broadcast. It starts at approximately 9:45 every Sunday morning. Just go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and click play. We can't wait for you to join us from your home. And don't forget, if you want to join us live and in person, service starts for 9 a.m. and we are located at 7601 West Lake Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana, 70072, Suite C.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on the Gulf Coast that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Join in on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry. There are no limitations or boundaries. We talk about life, and guess what? That includes you. So download the app today, New Orleans Talk Network, and subscribe on YouTube. That's every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. New Orleans Talk Network, Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready because the conversation will be hot and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
Well, welcome back, and hopefully you're watching the New Orleans Talk Network, the Talk What You Know series, and of course, the Bob B. Variety Hour on Wednesday, July the 5th, right after the holiday. All of us have our lids fairly closed. As I mentioned before we get to our guest again, our raffle today has been Bargain Basement Series. So all you got to do is call in and speak to Mike if you don't want to come online. Give him your name and your phone for me to call you after. We're giving away these two clearance items. Not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that three winners over the last 3 weeks have not claimed their prize. So we have the frame print or the headphones. You just need to call 504-341-8255. 341-TALK. Not a text. You got to call him and give him your information, or if you want to come online, you're guaranteed you can tell us which one you want. If not, then we will go through the list after the show and call you back and say which one you want. All right. We want to go back to our lovely guest, Erynne Elkins, the playwright, screenwriter, cannot say it, authoress, and somewhat blogger. And we want to actually, we're hearing all about her work and all of her hard labor in that. But what better way than taking a small segment? And I think she's going to do two of us today. First of all, we'll do one and see how much time we have left. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let her go ahead and tell us what is the name, and let's take a listen.
Excellent, Bob. Thank you. I loved what you said earlier, the Talk What You Know series, and that's pretty much the essence of what my blog is.
Oh, great.
This particular post is called Living on Purpose. Living on purpose. What does that even mean? Someone asked me that a few months ago. Their question was in response to my statement that people could improve the quality of their lives by living their purpose on purpose. I cited myself as an example. I find that when I write and put my work out there, it provides wonderful opportunities to meet people I never would have met otherwise. I've found myself in dynamic environments, bursting with energy and forward thinking that I wouldn't have been privy to had I chosen to not live on purpose. Those specific instances are the result of doing what fulfills me, which in turn improves the overall quality of my life. And when that occurs, other things, substantial things, magically fall into place. Living on purpose, by the way, isn't exclusively for writers. It's an opportunity for each and every one of us. Once you figure out what truly brings you joy and makes sense in your life, trust me, you'll find a way to create more of it. Whatever used to be a problem will no longer be an issue. You'll make the time, find the money, have the energy, and harness the support you need. That's the winning ticket. How are you living on purpose? I'd love to hear from you. And I bet a lot of folks hearing this would too.
Wow. Very impacting. So if there's a perfect invitation. I don't think she did that just for the show, but please don't hesitate to call us 341-8255 in the New Orleans area 504 region. And if you have an answer to that question, but very thought-provoking, and as she said, too many times we immediately got the question or the complaint with, somebody's going to answer me, or the Wikipedia, something. I go there for the answer, and never really explore it ourselves. Like, we're incapacitated to develop our own answers. And I think part of it, I hate to say it, is laziness. Is that we're so trained that we can get answers, whether it's out of the old days, out of books, when we're in school or whatever, or the encyclopedia, or today's Wikipedia, or someone else who will look it up for us. But we're so dependent on that we really don't use our minds to maybe think through as we're writing, or whether and writing is the perfect way, because many times when we think about it, our mind gets joggled. But if we're writing it down, if there's an interruption, baby comes or a phone call comes, we can go back to where we left off and not have to scrape our mind. Now, what was that? Where was I? And actually think more strategically about the problem. How somebody must have solved this problem before. I can't be so unique. A baby, as wet as diaper. There's got to be, an answer for it. And, of course, if we want to take the easy way out, go right ahead, because it's so convenient today. But I do think it's much more satisfying if we develop our solutions or our answers ourselves. And I think that's where she's talking about it. It doesn't have to apply to just a writer, that you can take that into any modus that you have, whether it's work, whether it's running the house, whether it's going into business, is that to write down your thoughts. Right, you have to do it anyway, because if you're going to business, you got to have a business plan, a market. So this is all the formulation, the creativity of what you want to do, or what answer do you want to have to your problem, or that you want to be creative and solve.
And I also would like to jump in really quickly, because before I write any of my blog posts, there's a chunk of time where I'm just quiet. So whether that's a minute, 5 minutes, a couple of hours, where I'm just quiet, and you'll be amazed. I know that we're living in a very fast-paced, extremely busy time. But you'd be amazed, and I refer to them as downloads. Some people may refer to them as aha moments. Some people may refer to them as the Holy Spirit speaking to them. Whatever your vocabulary, you'd be amazed at the power of silence and just sitting still, and the information that will settle in your soul, your spirit, your heart, and you'll find that direction. As Bob was saying, you'll find those solutions, and that's what's so rewarding about doing these blogs. And Living on Purpose was actually, I think this was my first one.
Wow.
And that's, again,
really dynamic for a first one. Yeah.
I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I met Bob because we were both attending the French Film Festival very personable, very friendly man. You can't, discount that.
Come on.
We spark up a conversation, exchange business cards, and during one of those moments of being still, being quiet, being meditative, I was looking through his cards because I do like to follow up with people, when I get their cards, and something internal told me, this isn't going to be the last conversation you have with him. So fast forward to now, I've got this wonderful opportunity to share my work with, you all, and I'm very humbled and I'm very honored.
Oh my goodness.
But it goes back to this blog post of living on purpose.
It certainly exemplifies.
Exactly. I studied French in grade school and high school and college. I love the language. I love the culture. I love the people. Part of me expressing that is going to the French Film Festival. I'm living on purpose. And in doing that, I'm standing in line with Bob, fast forward to now. So when I talk about, things magically falling into place, when Bob, says things like, you'll find the answer to the solution, it's not some hype that we're saying to you. When you make a decision, a conscious decision, when you wake up, that you are going to live the life, that you have carved out for yourself, all of these wonderful things, you meet people you normally, wouldn't have. So I know I went a little long, but I just wanted to give the meat behind that.
I didn't expect the first one to be so germane and so incisive. I expected it to be a little more light. Not that I'm criticizing,
none
but I
taken.
mean that's heavy that we can jump into something like that, and especially to think that was your first.
Yeah.
It seems much more accomplished. I don't mean it like that, but usually people's first attempts at things are, a little rough around the edges and stuff like that. Maybe not as well thought out or determined, but I think that was right on spot. In fact, one of our listeners, Paula, she's a nurse, and she continues to write a blog. She was from New York for her followers, our newsletter blog, and so I would love to have heard from her to tell, to see how she not only gets inspiration on topic, but again, to see if it validates some of the processes that we're talking about. Because I know even for this show, and I know I'm old and people think I just sit at home, but unfortunately I do have an active life that I shouldn't be doing at this age. And it's super important to me that I have to get time away from all this. I mean, not just, I don't have to be on the computer like everybody else, while they're eating and all that junk, but away from people who I love or anything. I've got to get, and sometimes I hate to say it, all night long. I know that Pastor Jones is amazed that a person my age can stay up for a couple of things I do the other week. I started at 1:19 in the morning and didn't finish till 11 o'clock the next night. Now, other people have done, but at my age, that's a pretty long time without sleep and to be able to focus that long. But that's what it took me, because I had to have that solitude because I had a time constraint and I had to get through it. And that's the only way I can do it. If I go to I'd rather be in the pool or something like that. But if I'm going to do that, there's no way my mind has to be free of distractions. And when you think it like that, you don't just think the question or then you think the answers. You work yourself away that you can, it might not be the answer, but I guarantee you're going to come up with maybe a multitude of responses. Which one applies, who knows? Or maybe they all do. But you will work it through if you put that much intent and on purpose, living on purpose.
And I do want to jump in real quick. I know we are hearing, these words and terms a lot and for good reason, self-care and mental health and all these other things. When you make yourself a priority, and I am going to say this, sometimes being a little selfish with yourself is the best thing that you can do for yourself. So when you get those waves of inspiration, and I can definitely relate, it's just like I'm pulling an all-nighter writing this. Like I haven't done that since, I was in college, But you see that energy and that enthusiasm, and that comes from a place of making yourself a priority, setting aside some time, you're not being disrespectful to others, but when you make time for yourself, you're able to be at your best. And then when you're at your best, you're able to be at your best and available for other people. Exactly. So, yeah.
Oh, on that note, we had to take time for our last break. But when we come back, I think we'll have enough time to let this young lady give us at least another sample of her. So let's go ahead and get break over with quick. And come on back and let's take a look and listen to what Erynne has to say. See you in 2 minutes. Good.
You enchant me, even when you're not around.
This is Remus Bowman. I want to invite you every Monday at 12 o'clock live for You and Your Credit. You can call in, you can ask me questions. Believe me, I've got most of the answers for you. We're going to help you get a good credit score. We're going to open doors for you to have an opportunity to be successful and pay low interest for your automobile, your home, your credit cards, everything that you buy. We're going to put you on a great path to have a successful future. Send me your request for information. I'll be glad to answer your question. Every Monday at 12 o'clock, join me from 12 to 1 Monday afternoon for You and Your Credit, originating from New Orleans Talk Network.
Y'all know me, this the people person here.
Big homie head.
It's your boy Fred.
This man, a big fan.
Right. Listen, we're your host of the New Orleans Talk Network's Fan View. Real fans talk real sports. Check us out every Thursday night, 6 p.m.
There's soul food, and then there's food for the soul. At a time where we live to eat, the Praline Connection restaurant serves up recipes that reach back into days long gone. You know, the kind of meals your mama cooked up for Sunday dinner. Fried chicken with macaroni and cheese and candied yams, homemade meatloaf with garlic mashed potatoes and string beans, or Nolan's filet gumbo. That's the real soul you get only at the Praline Connection restaurant, located at the corner, Charters and Frenchman Street in the Marinade.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Nobody gives you better conversation about your quality of life.
Let everyone know you listen to
The New Orleans Talk Network.
All right, welcome back. Again, we're still soliciting those phone calls. I don't know if Mike's getting any. They're not coming through, but 504-341-8255. Get these off our hands, folks. And it's not trash. These are beautifully done. Like I say, the frame alone is worth money. If you know how much this cost, it was unbelievable. And also the headphones. So give us a call. Just give your name and number to Mike. If you don't want to come online, if you do come online, you're guaranteed one of them. If not, then you just we keep calling until we get the person who can receive it. Okay, we're having a wonderful conversation with Erynne Elkins, authoress, blogger, writer, all kind of other stuff. And she's done a piece for us. We're going to try and get a second piece in because we're nearing the end, and she wants to make some comments after it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a listen. Tell us which one you're doing now.
This one is Sometimes You Gotta Fry Some Chicken.
I love this one, folks. This is the one that lured me to her with regard to that title alone. Go ahead.
Sometimes you gotta fry some chicken because none of our parents are perfect. I'm no Betty Crocker, my mom told me growing up, but I can fry some chicken. That she can. And don't get me started on her pancakes. She takes just add water to a whole nother level. I make pretty babies and pretty pancakes. Damn. I remember overhearing a former manager of mine tell an employee, "You don't know what you don't know." The same applies to parenting. Here are one or two people doing the best they can with the resources they have. Once you reach adulthood, try incorporating a little grace, maturity, and wisdom into the memories of your childhood, and you'll be all right. Please don't delude yourself into thinking being rich is the cure-all. Yes, money is wonderful and can make a whole lot of things easier. But so can love, being there on a consistent basis, and positively leading by example. I am my mother's daughter, artistic and full of moxie. I am my father's daughter, a wanderluster with a penchant for taking pictures. I am both of my grandmother's granddaughters. Highbrow meets street. I am both of my grandfather's granddaughters. Hardworking meets incognito. And those of you listening to this, you are your mother's daughter or son, and so on. So just like with other traits in life, don't hold space for what doesn't serve you. But if there are qualities you inherited from your imperfect family that positively support your purpose, fry it up and savor every delicious bite. Namaste, y'all.
For those who don't speak Japanese.
He's got jokes. Namaste basically means...
That's our California influence. Go ahead.
It's basically, it means, the divine in me honors the divine in you.
Right. A typical saying. Anyway, it was a lovely way to close. So now you want to make some comments on it.
The inspiration for this piece, and I want to choose my words carefully, growing up, in an imperfect family, from time to time I'd heard, such phrases as, oh, so-and-so comes from a good family, or so-and-so comes from a good family. And, in listening to that, when I heard it, I'm just like, so if there are good families, does that also mean that there are bad families? And I didn't like that good, bad, I didn't like that difference. So the inspiration behind this piece is, nobody's parents are perfect. And even in all of the imperfections in my family, I love who I am. I love who I'm continuing to develop into. And I really hope that that can be the case for every single person having read this and listening to this. No matter where you rate your family on whatever kind of scale, we're all in this together. So, like I said, receive what serves you, say no thank you to what doesn't, and keep it moving.
Excellent words. Excellent words. Okay, now, if you want to contact Erynne or read a couple more passages on her website, there it is. I can't read it from here, but she told you about the Digital Hippie 70, but the actual website is the same thing. Is it?
Yeah, digitalhippie70.com.
So make it easy. Digitalhippie70.com. Erynne will be glad to entertain any questions. Be glad to do whatever you can. Maybe you can hook her up with some things, some speaking events, or anything. There's so much stuff. I wanted to start writing stuff so we can do some ventures and actually get her out there. Also, don't forget, next week is Talk to the Tarot. You know my email, bob@rrreview.com. Send me your name and if you want to be on the show to speak with the tarot. Also register. And I don't know if we got any calls. Nobody called online, but we'll see if not. If not, we're going to give these a Goodwill or first person I see on the street that likes them.
Or maybe he'll give them to me.
Or maybe the honored guest, since there's no payment here. I don't think she knew that. Anyway, okay, look for us next week with Talk to the Tarot. It's Bob at Bob's Variety Hour on the Talk What You Know series of the New Orleans Talk Network. See you next Wednesday. Try and make it through the rest of the week. Bye-bye.